Let's talk about capitalism versus socialism versus communism. Now, for those of you that have studied economics, or forget that, for those of you that are halfway awake and have common sense, I'm going to say something extremely obvious here, and it's this: that capitalism is proven, socialism disproven, communism disproven. What is socialism? Socialism is this thought that you have this community. You have some hard workers, you have some not so hard workers. Usually the hard workers are the ones producing the goods, the services, the property. Well, those hard workers should share in all that good services and property, because everybody should be basically of the same socioeconomic class. Everybody should have about the same wealth. That's socialism. Communism is a more extreme version of socialism. That is where the government determines where the goods, the services, the property goes to. You know, an economist once told me that if you give somebody a 20-year lease, not ownership, but a 20-year lease on a beautiful plot of land, that person will turn it into a desert by the end of 20 years. Conversely, if you give somebody ownership in a freaking desert, they will turn it into a beautiful plot of land within 20 years. You give somebody ownership, it's different than having the government own stuff and just divvy that stuff out. Communism is where the government divvies the stuff out. So think Vladimir Putin. He loves his oligarchs, right? The oligarchs get a lot of wealth from Vladimir Putin. That's an example of communism. The Berlin Wall fell in 1989. And up to that point in time, we had something called the Cold War. And that is the East, which was the Soviet Union, the communists, versus the West, such as United States, us capitalists. So not just from a military standpoint, there were also comparisons of economic systems. Communism versus capitalism. Which one is better? Up to this point in time, the world had thought that east of that Berlin Wall was about as productive as west of that Berlin Wall, that they were a pretty formidable economic system, that communism was actually a decent system. It's just a matter of which one was best. Time will tell. Well, guess what? The wall fell and we were all exposed. All exposed to the east, all exposed to the shit that was on the other side of that Berlin Wall over in the Soviet Union. Dilapidated buildings, poverty, people starving, an economic system that did not work. That is communism. It's also socialism to a lesser degree. So I see these pukes protesting for socialism. These 18-year-old pukes that don't even know what socialism is, don't know the history of socialism or communism, have never studied economics, and it makes me shake my head. Capitalism is proven, socialism is not, communism is not. And capitalism is, I eat what I kill. If I work my butt off, I'm going to have a prosperous life. If I don't work my butt off, I'm probably not going to have a prosperous life. That motivates me to work my butt off. Now, I'm not anti-government. Limited government in certain circumstances is needed. So think of our warriors. Think of those that have fought for me to have a prosperous life. They come back from war if they're disabled and they cannot work. They cannot work their butts off to earn the life that they deserve. That is where government needs to step in and maybe, tax me so that I can pay for that veteran to have the life that he or she deserves. So am I anti-government? No. But am I pro-capitalism? You bet.